On the night of July 13, 2007, in a quiet Pennsylvania neighborhood, a woman is brutally murdered while her husband sleeps just upstairs. Naturally, suspicion falls on him. He's the only one in the house. But while police lock their sights on the grieving man, miles away, another woman is already dead. And another will follow. The true killer. A faceless predator, a masked intruder, weaving a trail of death up the northeastern United States. But what this monster doesn't know is that his spree is about to hit a brick wall, a 15-year-old girl named Shea McDonough, and a family unwilling to be his next victims. Make sure you watch to the end, because what happens in the final confrontation will leave you stunned. It was just after 1:30 a.m. when the 911 call came in. The caller, a man, was clearly panicked. His voice trembled as he explained that he had just come downstairs to find his wife lying in a pool of blood. She wasn't breathing. There was blood everywhere. Her name was Jennifer Collins, and she had been stabbed repeatedly, the fatal blow likely piercing her heart. Her husband, Michael Collins, said he'd been asleep upstairs the entire time. To the responding officers, it didn't make sense. There was no forced entry, no broken glass, no overturned furniture. Just Jennifer, crumpled at the foot of the stairs in her nightgown. Michael was immediately placed in a squad car. The police couldn't understand how a man could sleep through such violence just a floor above. What Michael didn't know, what no one knew yet, was that this was not the first killing, nor would it be the last. Only hours before Jennifer was found murdered, in the town of Stamford, Connecticut, a woman named Linda Barrett was reported missing. She had left work at a local diner, drove home and vanished. Her back door was found unlocked. Her keys were still on the counter. 2 days later, hikers found her body near the edge of a wooded park, wrapped in a plastic tarp, her face badly beaten, hands bound. Her death bore chilling similarities to Jennifer's. Both women were found in nightclothes. Both were killed at night. Both homes showed no signs of forced entry. Police departments in the neighboring states weren't yet talking to each other. They had no idea they were hunting the same killer. That would change soon. Just 6 days after Jennifer Collins' death, at around 3:12 a.m., a frantic call came into Albany 911 dispatch. A girl, barely able to speak, whispered that there was someone in the house. The dispatcher kept her on the line. The girl said her name was Shea McDonough, and she was hiding in her closet with her younger brother. The intruder had already broken in. He'd smashed a basement window. He was in the kitchen now. Shea's parents, Diane and Craig, had locked their bedroom. Her older brother had jumped from the second-story window and run to a neighbor's house to get help. What none of them realized was just how close they had come to being the next family to make headlines. The man wore a ski mask. He carried a knife. He walked room to room like he knew the layout. But this time, he was not prepared for resistance. Shea McDonough had always been quiet, bookish. But that night, when the masked man broke into her home and headed for the bedrooms, something clicked in her brain. This is not how I die. She'd locked the door behind her little brother and pulled a lacrosse stick from the closet. When the man tried to open the door, she swung hard. The handle cracked. He kicked it once, twice, then the door gave way, and Shea slammed the stick against his forearm. He dropped the knife. Then she screamed, a high, guttural scream that shook the house. Her parents came running. Her dad tackled the man, even as the blade sliced his shoulder. Her mom grabbed a lamp and slammed it down on the intruder's back. The man escaped through the same window he'd come through, but not before Shea scratched at his face, tearing off part of the mask and revealing a twisted smirk burned into her memory. By now, law enforcement had no choice but to piece together the scattered puzzle. From Stamford to Bradford to Albany, a trail emerged. The FBI got involved. They ran crime scene DNA. And finally they got a match. The man's name was Darrell Cressman, a 37-year-old transient with a string of petty thefts across state lines. He had no known address, but had bounced from shelter to shelter, working odd jobs. He had no record of violence, but his former roommate remembered something chilling. Darrell had an obsession with lockpicking. He practiced for hours. He also had a thing for studying floor plans. He'd even worked briefly in real estate as an assistant. He was a predator who stalked homes before striking. He'd sneak in at night, quietly, methodically, taking only what he wanted. And sometimes what he wanted was blood. What Cressman didn't know was that Shea, before he ran off, had managed to pull something from his pocket. Receipt. It was soaked in sweat, half crumpled, but it was legible. It came from a gas station on Route 15, timestamped just an hour before the Albany break-in. Detectives pulled footage. And there he was, unmasked, alone, buying an energy drink and a pack of gloves. The hunt was on. Police traced the purchase to a debit card registered to a false identity, David Kern, but surveillance from other gas stations showed the same man, same car. A beat-up blue Chevy Cavalier with a missing front plate. Finally, they tracked the vehicle to a rented storage unit outside Scranton, Pennsylvania. What they found inside stopped them cold. Dozens of women's purses, driver's licenses, cell phones, and photo IDs, trophies from previous break-ins. In a locked box, they found journals. Cressman had been documenting his crimes. Descriptions of how he stalked the homes. What the victims looked like. Which ones he considered too easy. He even rated the screams. One entry read, "She fought back. That girl had eyes like fire. I'll be back for her." It was dated July 19th, 6 days after the Albany break-in. He was planning to return for Shea. But they were faster. On July 21, 2007, U.S. Marshals arrested Darrell Cressman while he slept in the back of his car, parked behind a shuttered hardware store. He had duct tape, gloves, a knife, and photos of the McDonough home. He never made it back to Shea. In court, Cressman pleaded not guilty to all charges, but the evidence was overwhelming. DNA matched. Journals detailed events only the killer could know. Shea and her family bravely testified, as did Michael Collins, now cleared of his wife's murder after forensic proof showed an outside assailant was responsible. Cressman was convicted of 3 counts of murder, 2 counts of attempted murder, and over a dozen charges of burglary and assault. He will never walk free again. But what remains most haunting is how long he went undetected. Today, Shea McDonough is in her 30s. She speaks to youth groups, teaching self-defense and sharing her story. She says she never wanted to be a hero. She just didn't want to die. Her parents credit her with saving their lives. Investigators say without Shea, Cressman may have continued his spree indefinitely. And what started with one murder, and a wrongfully accused husband, ended only because a teenage girl decided to fight back. Don't forget to subscribe for more chilling, emotional true crime stories. Because justice sometimes begins with the most unexpected people.